Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to cut through all that media hype to figure out what's really going on with enterprise AI. Are companies actually getting a return on these massive investments? Or is it all just, a bunch of expensive experiments?
Okay, let's just dive right in. For months now, all you hear about is this supposed AI bubble. And a lot of that talk, it's being fueled by some pretty questionable studies. But what happens if we just push all that noise aside and look at the actual real-world data? You end up with a tale of two completely different stories. On one side, you've got the media narrative, right? The bubble. But on the other, you have the hard numbers. And the numbers show enterprise spending on AI is hitting record highs, and adoption is actually speeding up. The money is telling a totally different story. So to really get to the bottom of this, we first need a clear picture of what corporate adoption actually looks like on the ground. I mean, how far along are companies really? And this is a real reality check. According to McKinsey, yeah, pretty much everyone is dipping their toes in the water. But a massive 62% of organizations are still just in those early experimental pilot stages. Only a tiny 7% feel like they're fully at scale. That's a huge gap between just trying something and actually transforming the business. But that big picture view doesn't tell the whole story. Because when we zoom in on one specific and much more advanced piece of this puzzle, AI agents that can automate huge chunks of work, the picture changes dramatically. So check this out. At the very beginning of this year, a KPMG survey found that only 11% of large enterprises had AI agents in full production. And we're not talking about just playing around with pilots here. This is for agents doing real, meaningful work. Now, fast forward just 2 quarters. That same survey shows the number has leaped from 11% to a staggering 42%. We're talking about a nearly 4-fold increase in just 6 months. This is not a slow trickle, folks. This is a tidal wave of adoption, moving from let's try it to we're all in, way faster than anyone saw coming. So with spending and adoption both going through the roof, it all comes down to the one critical question, right? What's the actual return on that investment? Are these companies seeing a real payoff for all this money and effort? And man, this slide just perfectly illustrates the pressure cooker we're in. Last year, most CEOs were like, yeah, we'll see a return in maybe 3 to 5 years. But today, a full 67% expect to see that ROI in just 1 to 3 years. The whole timeline for getting results has been yanked forward. Okay, but here's the catch. The same leaders demanding faster ROI are also admitting their old tools are basically broken. A whopping 78% say their traditional ways of measuring success and impact just can't keep up with what AI can do. It's like they're flying blind. And that measurement gap is exactly why we need better data. It led to this investigation where we gathered self-reported info on over 2,500 real-world AI use cases, just to cut through all the talk and see what's actually working. And the top line result? Well, it's overwhelmingly positive. If you add up the modest and high ROI groups, you get over 80% of these early AI projects already delivering a real positive return. Only a small fraction are in the red, and even they're optimistic about what's coming. So, where are these wins coming from? Well, it's not a huge surprise that the most common entry point for companies is just plain old time savings. It makes up over a third of all the use cases. Why? Because it's the easiest thing to measure and the most straightforward benefit to get. It's the default starting block. But saving a few hours a week, that's great, but it's not the revolution we've been hearing about. The real story, the fascinating part, is when you dig deeper and find out where that game-changing, truly transformational value is hiding. And right away, you see this huge split. While individual team members are, focused on their own productivity and saving time, the C-suite and the leaders, they're thinking much bigger. They are using AI for really strategic goals, like creating entirely new capabilities or fundamentally boosting the whole organization's output. Now, here is a really surprising piece of data. When we asked people to pick the single number one benefit of their AI project, risk reduction was dead last. It was the least cited category of them all at just a little over 3%. It seems like it's almost an afterthought for most people. Yet, and this is incredible, a full quarter of those same overlooked risk reduction projects delivered transformational ROI. That is by far the highest success rate of any category. It reveals this powerful but totally underestimated source of value. It turns out that sometimes playing defense with AI is actually your best offense. So what's the secret sauce?
What separates the organizations that are finding this hidden, game-changing value from the ones that are still just stuck in the pilot phase, spinning their wheels?
Well, the data shows a really clear and consistent pattern. The high performers, the winners, they don't treat AI like a bunch of one-off science fair projects. No, they build a comprehensive, systematic engine. They go after multiple use cases at the same time. They focus like a laser on big goals like revenue growth, and their investments in the more advanced stuff like automation and AI agents consistently deliver these huge, outsized returns.
So, here's the big takeaway. Winning with AI isn't about getting lucky or finding one magic bullet solution. It's about building a systematic, data-driven engine for transformation. The gap between the leaders and the laggards is already getting wider, which leaves us with one final critical question. As AI mastery becomes a system that can be learned and scaled, who's going to be left behind?